Alright, well, what's happening, folks? So I'm out here today. Pretty smoky, pretty hazy, pretty crazy. Probably not good for my lungs, but I think I'm just going to paint something like this with the sun going down, try to capture what's going on here. Normally you could see hills way in the distance, you could see Sacramento, skyline, and you can't see any of that. So it's pretty nuts. So I figured it'd be a cool painting. Can't really go hiking this weekend, obviously, because the air quality just wouldn't be good to do. So just wanted to capture kind of what's happening, what's going on, and get some of that haziness. I might wait a little bit longer, see what the sun looks like once it goes down a little bit, and could be a pretty cool painting. Yeah, that's how this episode is. So that's how this weekend is, unfortunately. Can't really go out in nature anywhere too much because it's just too hazy. So yeah, definitely don't want to go walking around or hiking too long in this kind of weather, whatever you want to call it, this air situation. So I'm going to get started on this painting. Thanks to everybody who supports me on my YouTube channel and all the work that I do here. Greatly appreciate it. So check it out. I'm starting out this painting with the sky, and it's a mixture of transparent red oxide, ultramarine blue, and probably a little touch of ivory black just to get a gray very quickly, very simply. I left some lights of the paper there for the sky that I'm going to be painting in just a minute. I'm mixing up some yellow here for the sky. So the sun was partially behind that bit of stripe of cloud there that you see in the middle between those two white patches that I left on the paper. And as I put down this yellow, you can see I used a little too much water there, so it kind of creates these blooms in the sky. So that's unfortunate. Sometimes that happens if you don't have the right water ratio when you're doing another, when you're painting a wash into a wash, you gotta have the right water ratio. So I kind of try to fix the blooms there a little bit, add some more color, a little bit of alizarin crimson there around the sun, so much warmer. So it was more like cadmium yellow, and then Indian yellow, cadmium red, and then alizarin crimson. So that's kind of the colors of the warmth there that I used to get that sun. Created a real beautiful effect, and that's what I was seeing out there. Unfortunately, the unfortunate part is when I went over the sky that second time, I kind of darkened the value and just darkened it a little too much. So I kind of had to compensate a little bit, and I didn't really want to push the values of the foreground and of these hills in the distance that I'm painting right now. I didn't really want to bring their value down a bit lower, so I didn't really get a clear separation between the sky and the ground as much as I had wanted in the end. But that's all right. Overall, it's still not a bad painting. It's just, there's just one little thing off. The value of the sky is a bit dark. If that would have been just a little bit lighter, then painting I would have been really happy with this painting. But instead, I'm just kind of happy with this painting. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm working on some structures here in the foreground. And the interesting thing was, even though there was depth in this painting, these structures are closer to me, these were still kind of off in the distance, so I didn't go very, very dark in the foreground. Obviously, you're going to see some shadows here in the foreground, some little bit of depth, but not a whole lot. Paint on some trees there, putting some splattering. So you can see the painting is still all very wet. I'm kind of painting everything in one go for the most part, all these washes going together. And I'm just trying to darken up some of the tree shapes there and just suggest some tree shapes to start out with. Some shadows under the roof there for that building. So that's really kind of one of the darkest shadows in this painting. I'm also going to have to darken down the trees. Those were really the darkest thing as well compared to these buildings. But I try to keep everything pretty loose, like I always do. I'm just trying to suggest some things. There's some suggestion of windows to try to show that this is a structure there. This is a building, but I don't want to paint too much that really, I don't want it to be super detailed or anything. Kind of some trees behind these buildings to kind of define the edge of that building as well without actually defining the edge, so to speak. It's more of an optical edge. You know, the viewer just creates that in their mind. That was my goal anyway, to try to, rather than drawing the edge of the building, I just wanted to draw things around the building that create the edges of the building, if that makes sense. But everything was very gray, super hazy out. It doesn't look that hazy in the video, but I'm telling you, man, it was really smoky out there where I was. And a lot more hazy and smoky and just awful than normal. Once all the smoke clears up, it'll be interesting to go back to this spot, because this is a great spot for sunsets. It'd be great to paint a similar thing, but a sunset on a very clear day, and compare the differences, because it's be a huge difference, no doubt. So hopefully, once the smoke clears up soon, hopefully in the next week or so, maybe, I don't know, who knows. Could take a while for the smoke to clear up. So just suggesting some trees in the foreground there, and also kind of some lanes on the road, like a parking lot type of thing. Just some more dark area for like the line of the roof there. That one building. So just trying to give some darker lines and things, and throwing in some darker, warmer things. Really trying to create some depth in the painting, like make the cooler things in the distance recede a bit. Just have some warmer bits up front, some warmer tones. Just some dry brushing on this roof, trying to just give a little bit of texture. And just straighten some things out there, show that I'm looking down in the roof of this building. But yeah, this one's pretty much done. Sun is completely gone now, just disappeared. It was very pink at the very end, really awesome. But pretty good. I'm pretty happy about this one. Yeah, I love the warmth of the sun I got amongst all the cool grays. But let's talk about it more once I get home. Let's get out of this smoke and head home. We'll talk about it there, inside, under different lighting. So I'll see you there. All right, made it back. Let's take a look at this sketch, see what's happening with it. So overall, really happy with how it came out, the layers that I got. The sky overall should have been just a little bit lighter in value, just to contrast with these hills a bit, but you know, I'm not too mad at it. I was really focused more on this like light effect and the kind of the colors there, and just the depth with the foreground, these buildings. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this one, even though there's just, you know, minor issues, but it's one of those very subtle things. It was hard to see anyway. I mean, it was very just really gray out there, and that's what I was there to capture. So this kind of warm against cool and depth. So that's it for that one.